Hey gamers, you're watching a new episode of What You Gaming On, the show where we start every single episode by asking you, the viewer, the gamer, what are you gaming on? Tell us what you're playing, what game you're playing, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and let us know. Let us know that in either our comments or my social media, or you can also email me what you're gaming on at whatyougamingon@gmail.com. And your answer will 100% be featured in an upcoming episode of What You Gaming On. We don't have anyone sending in what they're gaming on for this one, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been gaming on. And I have a confession to make. I haven't actually been gaming on this game that much recently. I've been wanting to. It's the next game that I'm going to play, but I wanted to show off some gameplay and talk about this game a little bit before jumping into the topic, and that's Mass Effect Andromeda. And you can see that I'm showing some gameplay for the Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer, or the co-op multiplayer, where you join with 3 other players, either your friends or just randos, and it's kind of like a horde mode where you just fight each wave, and I think it's up to 10 or 11 waves. Like I said, it's been a minute that I've played Mass Effect Andromeda, but it's something that right now the game I'm playing, the game I'm going to play after I beat this game, is going to be Mass Effect Andromeda. So sorry, it's a little misleading that this is the game I'm playing right now. It's not, but it's the one I'm going to be playing. But I do want to talk about this game just a little bit before getting into the bigger topic. And from the start, I want to say that I really enjoyed Mass Effect Andromeda. I said in the last video, and I'm going to say it here, I'm a huge fan of Bioware and the Mass Effect series. The Mass Effect series, the original trilogy, probably one of my top favorite series in video games. I loved playing as Shepard. I loved being on the Normandy. I loved the characters that I got to interact with. I loved my romance options. I still, to this day, have an absolute crush on Yvonne Strahovski simply because of Mass Effect 2 and also Chuck. So Yvonne, if you're listening, we should get coffee sometime. But just a big fan of Mass Effect. The story is great. About at least in the original trilogy, the story is great. You're trying to save your galaxy from the oncoming Reaper threat. The characters you get are so much fun, and you make such great connections with them. And even in Mass Effect 3, which got so much hate because of the ending, I was fine with the ending. I was fine with not having with the ending just kind of being 3 different choices, because all of the choices that I've made throughout the 3 games were shown to their completion in the game. You saw the completion of your decisions regarding the Krogan and the Genophage. You saw the completion of all of these different stories of Cerberus, of all of these different stories. You saw the completion of throughout the entire game. Pretty much that game had a lot of endings for different subplots that were going on throughout the entire Mass Effect series, and then by the end, you just come to the final ultimate choice. I was fine with the ending. I was even more thrilled when they added the Citadel DLC that was just a lot more character focused and just had some amazing moments with the characters that you've grown to love over the timeline of the series. So yeah, I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, and it's no different from Mass Effect Andromeda. I thought it was a really solid, good game. The story was entertaining. It was intriguing as you kind of discover the mysteries of the Andromeda Galaxy and the mysteries of the Ket, and finding this ancient technology, which sure, the ancient technology could be compared to, it's just rehashing the Reaper technology. Whatever, I still enjoyed it. The combat system was not entirely overhauled, but definitely enhanced to the point where it's a lot more fluid, where you don't have to worry about if you press A to take cover, you press A to get out of cover. You get in your cover and you take it. You can switch which shoulder you're shooting from. It was just a very fluid gameplay. The characters were enjoyable. The story was enjoyable. The big complaint that I always hear about Mass Effect Andromeda is the facial animations and the eyes, and the facial animations weren't good enough, and the eyes were just dead, and that just ruined the gameplay for so many players, and I think that's bullshit. I think that's just, I really, you know what, I'm not even sorry. I really think that if that's what you have to complain about, if you're looking at a game as big as Mass Effect is, and your complaint comes out that the facial animations aren't good enough, then you are just nitpicking just for the sole purpose of nitpicking. But at the same time, I don't want to say that your experience is invalid. I just think that's bullshit because personally, I thought the facial animations were fine. Yeah, some of them were a little lackluster. It wasn't. You know. They weren't great. They weren't top notch, but that didn't take away from the rest of the game. But the game did have problems, and I'll say what those problems are. The problem with Mass Effect Andromeda isn't the actual game itself, but in the marketing and the flat-out lies and vague marketing that Bioware and EA did for Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda is the fourth installment, or the fourth main installment in the series. I know they had like some mobile games for it, but it's the fourth main installment of the Mass Effect series, and it's basically a new beginning for the series because it's going to be really hard to continue the Mass Effect series within the Milky Way galaxy with Shepard, since whichever choice you choose in the end has big implications. You either turn the entire galaxy into like organic androids, or you defeat the Reapers, or you control the Reapers. It's a lot that you would have to unpack in another game focusing on Shepard and the Milky Way galaxy. So they literally removed all of the story and characters from the Milky Way galaxy and put it in another galaxy many light years away that takes 600 years to get to. So they are far removed from the main story of the Mass Effect trilogy. But it was a new beginning for the Mass Effect series. And I think removing it to another galaxy was really a bold choice. It was really cool. We got to go to a galaxy that we don't know all the planets of from sitting in science class and learning astronomy. That it's an entirely new thing. We don't know what to expect from the aliens. And sure, the number of aliens that you encounter in the Andromeda galaxy are a whopping 2 aliens. But still, it was a very bold choice for them to go to another galaxy, and I would love to explore more of the Andromeda galaxy in future things. The problem with Mass Effect Andromeda, as I said, was the lies and vague marketing that Bioware and EA stated when hyping up players for Mass Effect Andromeda. One of the things they said was that they didn't want to commit to the idea, or at least put into words a commitment to the idea that this was going to be the beginning of a new Mass Effect series, that this was going to be a new trilogy or a new ongoing series, that they wanted to let this game grow organically. Which, sure, that's an understandable statement to make. You don't want to commit to something before you know if it's going to work or not. That they want to let it grow organically. Okay, I can buy that. The other thing that they did with Mass Effect Andromeda, which was a little more suspicious, which we should have been a little more suspicious of, was that they released Mass Effect without any kind of season pass. Now, I say we should have been more suspicious of this because Bioware is under the umbrella of EA, and is EA the one that's like power to the player, or is that GameStop? Either way, that seems very hypocritical of what their actual model is. But EA's big thing is they want money. I'm convinced that there isn't an actual gamer within the entire corporate structure of EA, of Electronic Arts, that they don't actually know or understand gamer culture, or know what gamers want, or how gamers play, or how gamers think. They just want to milk as much money as they possibly can. So releasing a big game that would have been Mass Effect Andromeda without a season pass, we should have looked on that with a lot more suspicion, but we didn't. We were like, oh, maybe EA's changing their tune. Maybe, because, season passes aren't entirely viewed as great things, because it's pretty much a big price tag on a lot of future microtransactions that you just pay all at once instead of buying the microtransactions as they come out. And microtransactions are under a lot of scrutiny these days. So the fact that they weren't doing the season pass, we thought maybe EA is changing their tune, but we really should have looked on this with a lot more skepticism, because once the game came out, they announced that there will not be any more DLC, any more series. They basically shut down the Mass Effect franchise. It wasn't even a year after Mass Effect Andromeda came out, I don't even think 6 months after Mass Effect Andromeda came out, that they were announcing that they were closing the Mass Effect franchise. And a lot of people thought it was like, oh, well, maybe it's because of the backlash of the facial animations that they saw the backlash of like, we're going to take a step back from Mass Effect. But no, they planned from the beginning that Mass Effect Andromeda was going to be a one-off thing, that they were going to milk as much money out of that one singular cash cow as they possibly could. And they knew that from the beginning because they never wanted to commit to saying that it was going to be a series, and they never put out a season pass for it. So basically, Mass Effect Andromeda was Bioware and EA getting players who loved that series hyped up for a new, fresh take in the Mass Effect universe, and then basically being shut down to where all of the different cliffhangers and unanswered questions by the end of Mass Effect Andromeda, which there are a few that we thought were going to be covered in either DLC or Mass Effect Andromeda 2, are basically going to be told through comic books and books, which, nothing against comic books or books, but they're basically taking a series where the player's decisions and the player's choices pretty much shape what that series is for them. They're taking all of that choice and all of that control away from players and just going to tell the story and leave it at that, to where at this time, we don't know if Mass Effect is ever going to come back. If Bioware is never going to make another Mass Effect game. And it really is kind of just a betrayal. Like, I'm a huge fan. I really am. I'm a huge fan of Bioware games, but this really hurt. Maybe you can say that I'm blowing this out of proportion, but it did. It really, really, really hurt that they basically screwed gamers over, screwed their fans over, which there's plenty of other instances where they've done this before, which a lot of people say this about Mass Effect 3, not just the ending, but the fact that once you beat the game and you get that, farewell from Bioware, thank you for enjoying the Mass Effect series with us. We enjoyed making it, and like the last thing they say in the original message was, you can continue Shepard's story in upcoming DLC, which, as much as we buy DLC, as much as there's some great DLC out there, DLC is still kind of looked at with a lot of scrutiny. And Bioware and EA were called out on that the last thing you want to say to your players is that they can buy more DLC to continue the story, and they changed that in the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3. They changed that last message. So there are definitely times where Bioware and EA has done this, but this was a big one, and it really, really hurt. But there is a glimmer of hope. I don't want to hold my breath. I don't want to get mine or anyone else's hopes up. But there is a glimmer of hope that we will see Mass Effect again now that Casey Hudson has, I believe, taken over the position of general manager of Bioware. So he's basically the one that's kind of steering the ship for Bioware and kind of making the big decisions of where they want to take Bioware as a company. And Mass Effect is definitely Casey Hudson's baby. Like that, like when he was at Bioware before he took over as general manager, he actually left Bioware shortly after Mass Effect 3, and then they brought him back to be general manager. But Mass Effect was his baby. He was steering the ship for Mass Effect. So I don't think, as a general manager, Casey Hudson would want to leave Mass Effect dead in the water like it is right now. But nothing's been announced. I'm not saying this because anything has been announced. It's mere speculation. Because Casey Hudson is now the general manager of Bioware, and I don't think he'll want to leave his baby kind of just dead in the water. But still, what they did with Mass Effect Andromeda really, really did hurt. And as much as I still love Bioware games, I haven't forgotten. Like, it still hurts, and I don't know that me or we as gamers are ready to really forgive that. And that goes into E3 is coming up, and Mass Effect Andromeda is the last game BioWare has put out until their new upcoming game, Anthem, which is going to be a new franchise. Not only is it a new franchise, it's a new it's a new online MMO. What we know about Anthem at this point, is very little. We know it's a third-person shooter. We know you're basically in you're basically playing the game in Iron Man, in different types of Iron Man suits. It's supposed to rival Destiny for the MMO shooter, sci-fi or sci-fantasy shooter genre. What we've seen of it looks great. But this is Bioware and EA, and I don't know, with this game coming out probably in a little under a year, if I'm ready to forgive Bioware and not look at Anthem with some skepticism. Like I said, the game itself looks great. We saw the first look at Anthem in the last E3 2017, and now 2018, they're sure to show more Anthem and show more of what Anthem is going to be about. And of the expected games that we're going to see at E3, that's the one I'm probably a little more excited about, even though I try to hold back that excitement because I still look at it with a lot of skepticism. Is Bioware and EA going to screw us over with this game? Are they going to make a lot of vague promises and vague comments about Anthem, put out the game and let gamers get really into it and then screw us over? EA especially has been just under the microscope of what they're doing with microtransactions and loot boxes over the Star Wars Battlefront 2 fiasco, where you could basically buy the more powerful loot boxes to get more powerful players for your multiplayer experience. So you're basically paying to win. And a lot of people were looking at this and didn't like it, and not just gamers. This wasn't just a backlash from players of the thing. There are actual governments throughout the world who are looking at this loot box thing with EA and were like, "Is this illegal? Is this considered illegal gambling?" And I think they're either coming to the decision, or they've already come to the decision that yes, this is illegal gambling. And EA, they changed Star Wars Battlefront 2. They changed it all. They did a huge just revamp of that particular system. But then recently also came out and said, yeah, we're going to do it again, because that worked so well before that they're not going to learn their lesson, and they're going to go forward with the way they do loot boxes, which is basically just illegal gambling and basically pay to win. And they're going to continue to do that with upcoming games, and Anthem is one of those upcoming games. There hasn't been an official statement that Anthem is going to do this. They haven't made an official press release that it is going to have microtransactions, but chances are, especially since it's an MMO, chances are there will be the opportunity, especially from EA, there will be the opportunity to have microtransactions and pay to win. And we don't want that. But at the same time, I know myself. I'm going to get excited for Anthem. I'm going to get even more excited for Anthem, and I don't want to forgive and forget what they did with Mass Effect Andromeda. You know, I want to take this as a lesson to not just trust the words out of Bioware and EA on this matter, but I'm going to get excited for Anthem. It looks great. It looks fantastic. It looks exactly like the kind of game I would love to play. But it still hurts. What they did with Mass Effect Andromeda, what they did with mine and many other gamers' favorite series, not just an okay series that a couple people played, like a massively popular series that millions of gamers just fell in love with. I don't want to just forgive and forget. You know, I think we need to hold BioWare and EA and all gaming companies to this higher standard, that they really need to rethink what they're going to do. But at the same time, how are we going to do that? Because I'm going to buy Anthem. I'll say it right now. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it. But we need to hold. We really need to hold them to a higher standard. And I don't know how we're going to do that, because we're going to continue giving them money. We're going to buy those microtransactions, even if they're just for cosmetic, customizable stuff. We're going to continue giving them our money, and they're not going to change. That's why EA didn't change. That's why EA came back and said, we're going to continue doing this bullshit because we're going to buy into it. That's exactly what we're going to do. I love Mass Effect. I really love Mass Effect, and it's. I don't think yet there's been a BioWare game that I've played that I didn't really like. They have a lot of commitment to story. They have a lot of commitment to characters, and those are, two really big things I like. Also, it's a third person. It's a third person shooter, which is something I wish Destiny was. I think, for me at least, I think Anthem has the chance to take me away from Destiny 2, from playing Destiny 2, because I would much rather play a third-person shooter than a first-person shooter, even though I think Destiny needs to have the third-person shooter option, just like I think Sea of Thieves needs to have the third-person shooter option, because like a third of Destiny's gameplay is in third person, so the mechanics are, whatever. That's not the topic I want to finish on. What Bioware and EA did with Mass Effect Andromeda still really hurts. And I definitely am going to try to take Bioware and EA especially, not just take their word for it, look at them with a little more scrutiny. Even if I'm going to enjoy the game of Anthem, I'm going to look at it with a little more scrutiny and a little more suspicion. But we don't know what exactly they're going to say about Anthem in E3 2018, because what we ultimately know about the game is still very little. All we really know about is what we saw at last year's E3, which was a year ago. So we still know very little about the game. But what we've seen, I like. I like what we've seen. It looks great. I want to play it. And honestly, as a third-person shooter, chances are it's going to be very similar to Mass Effect, and at least gameplay style. But we'll see. Just what I want to end on, that despite being excited for Anthem, we need to hold Bioware and EA and all other gaming companies to a higher standard, to not just screw over their player base. But what do you think about this? What do you think about Mass Effect Andromeda, or the Mass Effect series in general? And what are you looking forward to at E3? Are you like me and looking forward to seeing more of Anthem and what they're going to reveal at E3? But do you also want to hold BioWare and EA to a higher standard? Let me know in the comments, and follow me on all the internets. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it around so others can join the conversation. If you want to check out my video game reviews, go to www.treyguillotine.com. And if you want your answer to be featured in an upcoming episode of What You Gaming On, make sure to tell me in the comments or email me at whatyougamingon@gmail.com. And of course, keep on gaming, gamers.